Crawl beneath your skin. The veil grows thin from dusk till dawn. As Sarwin wakes, the past lives on. With creeping tales and haunted glee, we conjure fear and mystery. The wind may bite, the dead may plea. So you want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart, but who really listens to warnings anyway. Now please relax and enjoy. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Halloween. Samhain or Samhain, depending on your proclivity. When the veil thins and doors are left a crack for our loved ones to find their way. A candle in the window, a bowl of milk on the step. But every open door is a risk. Because not every guest remembers your name with kindness. Before midnight, cover the mirrors. Keep iron by your latches. Do not say your name into an empty room. If you hear footsteps on the porch, watch the shadow under the door. If there isn't one, do not open. If the cold presses at the glass, step back. Some things hate the frost and come hunting for warmth. 6 years ago, on this very day, Weekly Spooky began. 364 stories later, we're still here, and as evil as ever. Normally, now is when I'd tell you to subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, leave us a rating, head over to weeklyspooky.com/join and support us for as little as $1 a month. But tonight is far too important, far too ancient for that. Whether you're at work, dreaming about your Halloween costume and handing out candy, or it's all over now and you're getting ready to wash that makeup off and put on your pajamas, this show has and always will be for you. The feeling of Halloween is ancient and decadent, strange and familiar. But at its core, what it does is allow all of us to be children once again, not afraid of the tax man or the fluctuation of interest rates. No, We get to fear monsters, ghosts, demons, creatures of the night, and even each other. It's a special thing we share, and something I, your host and narrator, Enrique Couto, is so proud to bring to you all year long and every single day in October. And we have no plans on stopping. So, get comfortable, because tonight, if your phone dies, if the lights stutter, if a voice whispers from the aisle and gets your name exactly right, don't answer. On our anniversary, we offer a new right from the author who started us down this creepy path, Shane Migliavacca. On Samhain, warmth is an invitation. Make sure you choose carefully who or what you let in. A Warm Place by Shane Migliavacca. Nancy shivered. The air was unseasonably cold for October 31st. She wished the cab would hurry up and get here. She tapped her foot impatiently. There was an energy in tonight that made her nervous. She had to admit it was a little spooky standing on a dimly lit street without a soul in sight on Halloween night. In the distance, it looked like someone was having a bonfire, maybe a pagan ritual of some kind. A sacrifice. She was making herself more antsy with her speculation. Nancy checked her watch. She still had some time to go before she'd be late for work. If she walked, she could still make it. Screw it. She couldn't wait here all night. Nancy hurried down the street. Maybe it was the fact that this could be the last Halloween ever, with the year 2000 coming in a couple of months. There was a strange dread in the air. Nancy had felt it for a few weeks now. A gust of wind came up as she walked down Spring Street, creating a blizzard of dead leaves. Thump, thump, thump. Panic gripped Nancy, and she ran a few feet before stopping. She turned around, half expecting a masked maniac to be peering at her from the lawn of one of the many houses. Thump, thump, thump. An old wooden porch swing swayed in the wind, striking one of the houses. Fuck! Feeling foolish, Nancy turned and started walking. A flash of movement made her jump. Standing next to a hanging plastic skeleton, a man in a featureless white mask and a black coat watched her. He nonchalantly waved in her direction. Happy Halloween, Nancy stammered before picking up her pace, resisting the urge to look over her shoulder. Nancy's usual route to work was a well-lit street, lined with cheerful shops, but she decided to take a shortcut through the run-down section of town. The air was thick with fog, and the only sound was the echo of her footsteps on the cracked pavement. As she passed by abandoned warehouses and closed factories, Nancy couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision, and strange whispers filled the air. Just as she was about to turn back and take a different route, a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was a young boy, dressed in tattered clothes and holding a pumpkin-shaped lantern. Nancy's heart raced as she realized he wasn't alone. Behind him, a procession of ghostly children emerged from the darkness.
Trick or treat!
The kids chimed in unison. They stood, grinning like little ghouls. Damn! Nancy felt her heart skip a beat. Trick or treat! The kid with the lantern repeated. Sorry, kids. I'm just a poor girl on her way to work. No candy on me. What a ripoff! A girl dressed as a gray alien pouted. That sucks! A child dressed as Neo from The Matrix kicked the ground. Nancy hurried past the kids, and after a few minutes, the bright white light of the store's parking lot was in sight. Nancy felt the tension drain from her. Grocery baron. Back to the real world. No place for ghosts and goblins at work. One of the lights was broken. It flickered and hummed. The store was so cheap, they'd never get it fixed. Got $1? Nancy hadn't even noticed the old woman sitting on a bench near the store's entrance. The woman had been out here before. Got $1? The woman repeated through rotted teeth. Nancy rummaged through her backpack. She fumbled with a crumpled $5 bill. Strange. She could have sworn she brought more money with her. Oh well, she'd have to go without a soda tonight. Here, she offered. Use it to get something to eat. The woman's old, gnarled hand snatched the money from Nancy's grasp. Then, she held on to Nancy's hand. Thanks, girl. Sure. Beware. I see death in your eyes. Oh, okay. Nancy backed away from the old woman. Death comes tonight, the old woman cackled. Nancy hurried inside. The automatic doors closed behind her with a hiss. Dave, the cashier, nodded her way. There were only a couple of customers at the checkout. A slow night. Lori, her best friend, was in the break room, eating popcorn and watching a small TV mounted on the wall. Mr. Hyde was stalking the streets of London, except this time, he was a woman. The break room was decorated with garish Halloween decorations and a carved jack-o'-lantern in the middle of the table. Brenda Gutman, the assistant manager, had done all the decorating. Bud Light Brenda was her nickname around the store, having been caught drinking on the clock a few times. Lori looked at the clock on the wall next to the television. You're here with minutes to spare. That's me. Nancy stowed her backpack in a wall locker. Nearly late, Nancy. You wouldn't believe the weird shit going on tonight. It's Halloween, honey. And it sucks. Lori stood, brushing popcorn crumbs off her store uniform. Having to work on Halloween blows. There's so many good movies on tonight. Lori sure could be a bit whiny sometimes. We'll rent some at Blockbuster tomorrow. We got the night off. Cool, but it's not the same. Come on, we'll rent only the worst garbage. Lori mulled it over for a second. Okay, you sold me. Punching in, they left the break room, and Ms. Hyde behind them. We got the dynamic duo on tonight. Terry, a burly ex-high school quarterback, leaned against a rack of beer. He worked overnight stalking. He was a sexist loudmouth, and Nancy tried to ignore him. He whistled as they walked by. "Yeah, lucky us," Nancy replied. Taking over on register number 8, she looked at her watch. 6.5 hours to go. Eternity. Business was slow. Most people were out trick-or-treating with their kids, or at Halloween parties, or better yet, watching the horror movie marathon on Channel 9. Nancy sighed. If only she could be one of those lucky few. The last customers of the night were 2 couples headed to a costume party. Their numbers were a heady mix of characters from Toy Story, English Lit, and Xena, Warrior Princess. They finally left, and Justin, the night manager, locked the doors. "Thought those 4 would never leave," he sighed as he retired to his office to fill out his night log. "You see the legs on that Warrior Princess?" Terry drooled. "No, I didn't," Nancy said dryly. "I'm surprised." Nancy glared at him. "What does that mean? You and Lori hang out a awful lot." Nancy ignored him and turned her attention to a cart full of shit people didn't buy that needed to go back on the shelves. Lori took another cartful and headed in the opposite direction. Nancy was putting a jar of sauce on the shelf when movement out of the corner of her eye made her jump. She turned. There, peering in through the large window of the vestibule, was the old lady she'd given money to. The woman pounded on the glass. "I'm cold! Let me in! I want to get warm!" "Shit," Nancy whispered as she went to the window. "Ma'am, are you all right?" "I'm cold and it's lonely out here." The woman's eyes darted around. "I hear things out here." Nancy heard the hiss of the automatic doors as Justin stepped into the vestibule. "What's going on here?" "She wants to come in. She's cold." "No way. Unless you are an employee, nobody is allowed in the store after hours." The old woman glared at them, her face pressed against the window. "Death! Death! Death!" she began chanting as she banged on the glass. Nancy could see little bugs crawling on the woman and shuddered. "She's not coming in here," Justin said. "I'm calling the cops. They can stick her somewhere." He left Nancy alone with the woman on the other side of the glass. "The police will come and they'll find you a place for the night. Someplace warm. Death is in there with you, child. It likes the warmth." She cackled. Nancy backed away from the glass and went back into the store. Lori and Terry were standing there next to the registers. "What's she want?" Lori asked. "She wants to come in." Terry scoffed. "Tell her to get a damn job like everybody else." Justin stepped out of his office. "I called the police. They'll be here in a bit. I say it's break time." Lori followed Nancy to the break room. The movie about Ms. Hyde was long since over, replaced by a film about 2 guys experimenting on monkeys in the Arctic. They sat at the table, eating silently, as the TV droned on. But Nancy's thoughts were on the old lady outside. Terry barged into the break room. "You watching porn in here?" He looked up at the TV. Its screen filled with a screeching monkey. "Damn, you girls are pervs. Can I watch you two make out?" "No!" Nancy protested. "It's a horror movie," Lori corrected. Terry pulled out a chair. It scraped against the floor. "That ain't scary. You want scary? Listen to this. You girls know about bargain groceries?" Lori shook her head. "Never heard of it," Nancy answered. Bargain Groceries was a big chain of stores, 9, maybe 10 years ago. Went out of business overnight. On Halloween. So, there was a Bargain Groceries. Here. Lori spit out some popcorn. "Oh shit, that's right. There was some kind of mass murder." "What, really?" Nancy was skeptical. "It was before you moved back." "Okay, that's horrible, but not really scary, though." "No, the scary part was it wasn't just some mass murder. It was a cult, end-of-the-world shit, and the owner of Bargain Groceries was the head honcho." He smiled wickedly. "They say this place is built on cursed land, full of evil energy." Nancy frowned. "Bullshit." "No, shit's real. Once I was hunting out past Landry's farm. I saw a skinwalker." "Werewolves?" Lori asked, leaning forward in her chair. Terry narrowed his eyes. "Nah, they're like Native American witches. They can shapeshift." "You saw one?" Nancy asked, her skepticism growing. "Saw it through my rifle scope. Thought it was a dog, but it was an old woman, down on all fours. Then she just sort of shimmered. Then a wolf ran off." Lori seemed entranced by Terry's story. "You were high," Nancy said, knowing of his frequent secret joint breaks behind the dumpster with Jimmy Holden. They both came in reeking of weed. "I don't smoke when I'm hunting." He looked frustrated with Nancy picking holes in his story. "So, what did you do?" "What do you think? I got the hell out of there, got in my truck, and went home, and got wasted." Nancy looked up at the clock. She stood. "Break over?" Lori sighed. Justin stepped into the break room. "Cops picked up the old lady. They told me something." He hesitated. "A cab driver was killed over on 4th Street. "Fuck," Terry said. Justin gave him a scowl. "Sorry." "They think it was a robbery gone wrong. He got knifed pretty bad. The killer is still at large." Justin paused. "The store's locked up. No worries there. Anyway, we've got work to do. Hopefully by the time we go, the cops will have caught whoever did it." He looked at the three of them. "Anybody needs a ride home after work, I've got you. No one is walking home alone with a killer out there. Cool? Okay." 4th Street. That wasn't far from where she lived, Nancy thought. A cab driver. Shit. Maybe the one she'd been waiting for. What if when she was waiting there, the driver was being killed just a few streets away? And the killer, she could have crossed their path. I saw a weird guy standing in the lot on Orchid Street on the way here, Lori said, shivering. Maybe it was the killer. Doubt it. Probably just some homeless dude, Terry insisted. Killer's probably in another town by now. A killer stalking the streets. Don't think about it, Nancy told herself. She had work to do. No time to worry about this shit, she tried to convince herself. Nancy pushed a U-boat cart of frozen pizzas down the frozen food aisle. The store felt quiet, even though there were 3 other people here with her. She sliced open a case of Big Papa pepperoni pizzas. Nancy hated working frozen foods, but Freddie had called in. One after another, the freezers went dark, up and down the aisle. It was just them cycling, she told herself. Nothing more. A whisper. Nancy. She looked up and down the aisle, expecting to see Terry or Lori. Nancy. She held up her box cutter with a shaky hand. Nancy. Come on, guys, enough with the Halloween prank. The freezer lights clicked back on. Nancy went to one end of the aisle and peeked out. Nobody. She listened. Quiet. Usually, Terry sang, poorly, while he worked. She shook off her mounting paranoia. She was just being silly, she thought, letting that story about the cabbie being murdered get to her. It didn't help being Halloween night and Terry's stories about murder cults and skinwalkers. She got back to work, stocking pizzas. A loud metal screech almost made Nancy slice herself with the box cutter. She looked up to see Terry pushing a U-boat full of water jugs past the aisle. "What are you looking at?" he said as he went by. She started but couldn't finish. Her heart was racing. "Crazy bitch," he grumbled as he passed by. Nancy finished up stocking frozen foods, and a few minutes later, she pushed a U-boat of sugar bags down the baking goods aisle. She stopped, further down. An empty plastic package for a large kitchen knife lay on the floor. Nancy looked around. She felt like she was being watched. "Nancy," the voice hissed. That wasn't her damn imagination. "Nancy." "Knock that shit off," she said as forcibly as her nerves would allow. Nancy heard the doors swing shut. Someone was messing with her, and she had had enough. Nancy pushed the double doors to the back room open. She wasn't going to be the butt of their joke. Somebody had run back here. Rounding the corner, she nearly slipped. A large puddle of milk was leaking from under the door of the dairy cooler. And something red. She pulled open the door. On the floor, among the smashed milk cartons, was Terry. He'd been stabbed numerous times, and his throat slit, and the blood that splattered the interior of the cooler only made the nightmarish scene more unsettling. Nancy panicked and bolted from the cooler, slipping in the milk and blood, hitting her knee on the concrete floor. Shit! Her eyes darted around, looking for any movement. Her knee throbbed, but Nancy managed to limp her way to the receiving office by the loading dock. Once inside, she grabbed the phone on the desk and started dialing 911. The phone beeped with a shrill tone. Shit. There was a number code she had to press to get an outside line. She scanned the desk frantically. It had been written down here somewhere, she hoped. The receiving desk was a mess. She started with binders with logs of shipments. No number stuck inside. She tossed it over her shoulder. Safety reports. 100 days without an accident. They'd have to change that. OSHA guidelines. Nancy was pretty sure that blood and milk on the floor was a violation. Nothing. No number. Not a damn thing except a clear desk and a mess on the floor. She tried the desk drawers. Locked. It figured. Justin! Fucking Justin! If he's in the front office, he can call the cops. What about Lori? Where was she? Nancy felt a dark, gnawing fear in the pit of her stomach. She grabbed a broom from the corner. Snapping off the broom head, she held the wood handle like a staff. She left the receiving area, entering the long hall that connected to the back room. There were double doors at either end of the hall that led back to the store. They might as well have been 1,000,000 miles away. She limped, using the broom handle to steady herself, stepping on the large metal cover of the grease trap under the store. It clanged loudly. Shit. Super stealthy. Nancy held her breath and leaned on the wall, waiting. Her fears were confirmed with the loud creak of the double door ahead of her, slowly opening. She couldn't be caught in the open like this. She slipped into the meat locker, the automatic light coming on as soon as she opened the door. Nancy hunkered down behind a metal cart of frozen packages of meat, her knee throbbing. She steadied herself with the broom handle. She stayed hidden there, the bitter cold biting at her. If the killer came in here, she didn't stand much of a chance. It was too closed in. Then Nancy saw it and felt like a fool. There was a door that led to behind the counter in the meat department. Damn! She slowly stood, limping towards the door. Please don't be out there, she thought. As she neared the door, Nancy saw an empty hook on the wall. A label above it read, "Gloves must be returned at the end of shift." She slipped out of the meat locker into the darkened meat department. She kept low behind the tall counter. From here she had a good view down a few of the aisles. Down 5, the condiment and candy aisle was the most direct route to Justin's office. Nancy needed something better than a broom handle as a weapon, but everything sharp here was kept in a locked drawer. Between 5 and the meat counter was the back aisle. She'd have to step out into the open. Taking a look around, she ventured out and limped towards 5. To her left, something moved over in the bakery department. She froze. For a second, she thought she'd seen a dark figure. Nancy kept going, keeping close to the shelves. She was over halfway there. She could see the door to Justin's office. The light was on. Was he in there? Something crashed behind her. Nancy turned. It was a large bag of Bitter Tots candy. It had fallen off the top shelf. She was going to manage to have a heart attack before the killer got to her, if this all kept up. She rested next to a display of plastic jack-o'-lanterns for a moment. "What are you grinning at?" she whispered, unnerved by their plastic smiles. Nancy hobbled out into the front aisle. She inched out, further and further. Nancy made it to check out lane 7. Celebrities with fake smiles seemed to mock her from magazine covers. "Justin," she whispered, hoping he'd peek out. "Justin!" Nothing. She inched closer to the office. The door was slightly ajar. "Justin!" she whispered, a little annoyed as she gently pushed the office door open. Justin was face down on his desk, a computer cable wrapped around his neck. Fuck! The phone cord was ripped out of the wall. Of course it was. Shit. She was alone. No, Lori. Where was Lori? Nancy nervously lifted Justin's head from the desk. Her only hope was finding the keys for the front door. Then a quick dash to one of the houses across the street to get help. They weren't on the desk, and the drawers were locked. Her leg brushed against Justin's body, and she heard the jingle of metal. Keys. Of course, on his damn belt. Time to get the fuck out of here. Except she couldn't leave Lori, no matter how scared she was. A shadow fell across her. Nancy looked up from the keys in her hand. He stood there, a few feet from the door, dressed in a black coat and plain white plastic mask. The man she'd seen standing in the yard on her way to work. He raised a gloved hand and waved to her. Nancy slammed the office door shut. She tried to lock it, but there was no fucking lock. "Are you kidding me? Everything else in this fucking store is locked." She rolled Justin on his chair in front of the door as a barricade. Sorry. She looked around the room as the masked man banged on the door. There were no windows. Nancy looked up at the ceiling tiles. She'd have to breakfast club this shit. Climbing up on the desk, Nancy pushed up one of the large tiles. She was greeted with a face full of dust and dead flies. She used a shelf to pull herself up into the ceiling. Next door to the office was the computer room. Nancy dropped down onto a large table with a couple of PCs, just as the masked man stormed into Justin's office. She yanked a fire extinguisher off the wall, pulled the pin, and bolted out of the computer room, just as the masked man came out of Justin's office. "Surprise, motherfucker!" She blasted it in the face with a shot from the fire extinguisher. The masked figure stumbled back, blinded. Nancy swung the fire extinguisher. There was a loud crack as she connected with the masked man's head. The figure staggered, and she swung again. Nancy stood over her prone assailant, her hands shaking, holding the fire extinguisher. "Holy shit!" An excited voice made Nancy jump. Lori stood there, shocked. "Nice swing, slugger," Where were you? With you. Lori, you weren't with me. She smiled. Who says I'm Lori? Nancy looked down. The mask was no longer lying there, replaced by the still form of Lori, broken and bloody. Nancy dropped the fire extinguisher. You killed your friend, the fake Lori laughed. Kind of. You got the body. I've got the evil. Nancy backed away from her. It, whatever the hell was talking to her. Its features started to crack and flake away, leaving a shadow version of a person. You and me, we're in this together now, it smiled. I like a warm place to live. I was in the cold for so long. I hate it. But you are so warm. Nancy looked at her hands. Fragments in her mind coalesced as the veil was lifted. I killed the cabbie. She remembered getting picked up, a short drive that ended with her stabbing him in the neck with scissors she had pocketed from home. Why? It smiled a dark grin. Why not? You exist for as long as I have, and blood is so nice and warm. The others? It nodded. You hated them all anyway. I didn't. Don't lie. You did. She'd been stalking Lori the whole time. Nancy had saved her for last. You're the only survivor of a massacre. Stop the killer, your own best friend. You will be famous. Nancy was destroyed, but could only laugh and laugh and laugh. Well, my spookies, better bolt your doors. The freezers went dark. The whisper knew her name, and milk turned pink in the dairy cooler. A white mask tapped on the office door, but masks often crack and fall away. Isn't always and what's a stranger? Sometimes the scariest face you could ever see in the dark is a smile you trusted. But don't worry, my spookies, because warmth invites. And you are invited to return tomorrow, because Halloween never ends at Weekly Spooky. Tomorrow, for Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, we're laying a marigold path through a ghostly compilation of terror tales. Candle smoke, footsteps, and voices that don't know they're gone. So come back, bring a light, and whatever you do, don't open the door. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, because we don't go anywhere when Halloween ends. Halloween is a frame of mind, one that you spookies live and die in. Before we end this very special 6th anniversary episode, and of course, Halloween, I just want to say thank you all so much. Weekly Spooky is something in my life that I didn't really realize I needed very much. I've always loved scary stories. I've always loved storytelling. I've, of course, always loved Halloween and horror. Getting the opportunity to share a scary story with you guys every week on top of true crime and talking about movies and all the other things Weekly Spooky has grown into, it's been a real blessing. And even though I'm so tired and my voice is so exhausted, you can hear it, especially in these last 5 or so episodes, it was so worth it because every day I sat in a dark, creepy room and scared myself with horror stories, and then got to bring that scary atmosphere to you as well. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. 6 years of Weekly Spooky, and it's grown so much. So many authors have been with us since the start. So many authors are brand new, and now I couldn't imagine doing the show without them. My Cutting Deep into Horror and Monthly Spooky co-hosts, Rachel Rodolfi and Michelle Antisocial, they're the best. This has been so much fun, and I cannot wait to do another 6 years of it. Reading scary stories, scaring each other, and being kids again. It's so everything to me. It's my heart and soul. So thank you. Thank you to the authors. Thank you to my co-hosts, and thank you to the listeners. You guys make the show happen, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate the Patreon support. I appreciate when you support our sponsors. I appreciate that you guys understand that the advertising and commercials are what allow us to keep this show free and allow us to do crazy things like release entire full-length audiobooks for you to enjoy. So just thank you. This has been one of the most exhausting Octobers of my entire life, and I loved every second of it. And of course, I want to thank our Patreon podcast boosters. Sincerely, just thank you guys for paying a little bit more every month in exchange for bonus shows and to hear your name at the end of the show. Johnny Nix, thank you. Kate and Lulu, thank you so much. Jessica Fuller, I cannot tell you how much it means to me. Mike Ishkewy, Mike, I love you, dude, and I cannot wait to feature another one of your stories when you're ready. Jenny Green, Jenny, you have been with us for so long, and I'm so flattered that we still bring you fun and enjoyment. It means a lot to me, thank you. Amber Hansford, Amber, thank you so much for being a supporter for, gosh, I don't even know exactly how long, since at least 2021. I'm so glad you discovered our show, especially since it was on the Groundhog Day episode. Karen Weemet, now most of you don't know this, but Karen Weemet is my mother. Thank you, Mom, for supporting me in every one of my crazy endeavors. The fact that I parlayed a film career, which is already an insane choice, into a podcasting career as well. It's like going from being a Bigfoot rider to a unicorn rider, or at least that's how it feels sometimes. Jack Kerr, thank you, Jack. You have been supporting me for so long in every single one of my endeavors, and I really appreciate it so much. And of course, Craig Cohen. Craig, you've also been with me, gosh, since before the podcast even started. You are a huge supporter and still are of everything I do. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. This isn't the normal Weekly Spooky outro because I wanted to take a second to talk from the heart. And then, of course, don't worry, when we're back next time, it'll be about ripping out hearts instead. So don't worry, we're going to be there. And I want to tell you also, we have a lot of new shows we're planning to launch on Weekly Spooky. None of your current favorites are going anywhere, but you guys just, your response when we make a new show is so positive, so overwhelming. We just want to keep giving you what you want. So now, with all that being said, if you want to support us, you can go to weeklyspooky.com/join and find out all the information, but I'm not here to plug that at all. I'm just here to say thank you and to say things are going to stay real spooky around here. And if you've never been with us through December, oh man, I don't even know how many bonus stories we're going to have in December. Maybe 6 or 7 at least. So make sure you're subscribed, and we have some wild stuff going on Thanksgiving as well. Thank you guys again. I'm gonna get out of here now and rest my poor voice. So finally I'll say, for our executive producers, Rob Fields and Bobbletopia.com, who help support the show so much and ask for so little in return, thank you guys. To my producer, Dan Wilder. Dan, I know we don't work on the show as much together as we used to, but you helped me push this boulder uphill, and I'll never ever forget that. And I can't wait for you to write another story so we can enjoy it, because you're a twisted son of a bitch. And of course, to our composer, Ray Mattis. Ray, without having you involved, without your music, without your original songs, thank you, Ray, for giving Weekly Spooky its signature song, as well as so many of my feature films. And of course, for myself, I will absolutely, positively talk at you later. Thank you.
Ha 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 ha!